I've got a chart right here that strongly indicates to me that Bitcoin cannot go higher than $46,000. But before we get into that, I want to cover with you guys the short-term analysis, because Bitcoin has managed to climb above that $35,000 zone, capture a little bit of resistance here, and then come back down. And it looks like we're doing one of two things right now. Either we're getting that beautiful back test before this thing blows the fuck off, just blows the ceiling, and we rocket much, much higher. Or what we're actually doing now is we're going to be in a situation where Bitcoin has formed a deviation and we're going to rock back down and it's going to be shit. We could deviate back down here and then come back up or whatever. Maybe we re-enter the sideways range. Perhaps we drop significantly lower. And that is the key thing I want to discuss with you before we get back to this chart. It's a really interesting one, and it fits in with a lot of the longer term analysis I've been doing with you guys lately. You know, one of the things that you'll see is that there are a lot of kind of forms of analysis right now, especially on these longer term charts, that are really bullish right now, like really bullish right now as far as I'm seeing. And none of them are things that I'm like, none of these are forms of analysis that are my favorite. You know, they're not the most scientific, they're not the most technical. They're a lot more open to interpretation than what I usually do, especially the things that I do to make money. But there's so many of them, and I think that because of that, it does still deserve a little bit of attention. You know, if you've got 5, 6, 10 different things that are not the strongest signs, but they're all coming together, all aligning, telling you the same thing, maybe they deserve a bit of attention. You're going to be the decision maker on that. Obviously, I'm not here to make your decisions for you, but before we do get there again, let's talk about this, because one of the key things Bitcoin managed to do with this little drop is it has come back down into the 4-hour EMA ribbon. And this is something that I told you is critically important just yesterday. We've now come back into it and we've started to form a bounce right here. So if Bitcoin is able to stay above this yellow line right here, I think that we're going to see a really nice upside continuation for Bitcoin. And actually, more importantly, I think that we're going to see this thing rocket much, much higher. Our high was at $36,000. And if we take a look at our kind of speculative breakout that you could actually go ahead and take a look at right here on this chart loading up, we had this bullish triangle that I was speaking to you guys about. It spanned a 5.4% range, and our breakout point was just shy of that. We should have hit 36.3 if we were going to completely play out this particular breakout pattern, but in this case, that's not exactly what happened. We got just shy of it, and depending on which exchange you're looking at, we didn't even hit it. So here on Coinbase, for example, if you look at the OHLC over here, the highest price that we set was 35,997, so just shy, just $2 away, $2.20 away. So we basically got there, and then we did see this little rejection right here. And you know what, I'm not worried about this right now. The key thing to keep in mind is that Bitcoin does form deviations, and that is very common for Bitcoin. That is very much within Bitcoin's character traits to actually form these kind of deviations up here and then come back down, so we must be aware of that. But as it stands right now, we are still in an uptrend. We are still setting higher highs with higher lows just continuously. I mean, we can go very, very far with this just to demonstrate how beautifully we've been setting these higher lows and higher highs. And this is why I kind of urge people to not get too worried. I mean, Bitcoin can flop all the way down to this line and it'd still be super bullish as far as I'm concerned. And that's one of the key things I've been telling you guys over the last kind of 2 weeks, to be honest, since we, roughly 2 weeks, 10 days since we've actually been up this high, is that Bitcoin could come down to like 29,000 even. I mean, dropping by $5,000-$6,000, and I'm still not going to be worried, purely because we've got such a strong uptrend right now that honestly, the only thing that dropping back down that low is going to do is it's going to give us a much better, healthier starting point to continue that march upwards, which I think is very, very impressive indeed. So, that is definitely something that I'm going to be watching out for. But like I said, with these kind of higher lows, take a look at this, guys. I mean, still very much sticking to that trend. I mean, Bitcoin is basically still in the same upward price move that it was already in previously. And you know what, I've actually just spotted this. You might also be able to draw a instead of this symmetrical triangle, we might also be able to draw a wedge. Let's go ahead and take a look at this and see how this works. Yeah, so kind of works, kind of not. Yeah, I mean, there is definitely potentially something here. Yeah, it might need some work, but there is some sort of a wedge going on here. And, in traditional finance markets, these are typically quite bearish. But, if you watch yesterday's video, if you're subscribed, you're going to know that actually for Bitcoin, these kind of things tend to perform really well, because what Bitcoin likes to do is, move up with that really, really hyper aggressive move and then move up slowly. And then, the bulls get bored again and start buying, and the bears get board and stop selling, and then that's when we get the next nice big move. And we've actually already seen that within this trend. If we zoom in a little bit further, I can demonstrate that to you very easily. We had this nice big upward price move, and then we continued to set higher lows. Take a look at this, higher lows, and of course higher highs. So, that very nicely materialized into the next move. So let me just make that even more clear, perhaps with some trend lines, just to show you what I'm talking about. Bitcoin forming, another kind of, very, very classic rising wedge pattern within an existing uptrend, and then it breaks out to the next continuation of the uptrend. So very, very common for Bitcoin. We're kind of doing the same thing, and what's beautiful about these character traits is that Bitcoin forms them on small time frames and on big time frames alike. So all you need to do is understand them, and obviously there's no way for you to know this unless you've A, been in the market for 6.5 years like I have, or B, you've studied it from somebody like myself. And obviously good news for you guys, we've also got the 4Flies VIP group available to you for a 50% off discount right now when you join using these links in the description down below. And obviously on that note, I am primarily making the trades that I'm in using these exchanges linked down below. You've seen the huge profits that I've been in. I've been taking profits on those positions live on YouTube videos with you actually, which is not really something I used to do, but fuck it, here we are. If you do want to trade on the platforms that I'm using, then Bybit is my primary platform. It is going to give you up to $30,000 in free trading capital when you sign up using my link down below and start trading. CoinW also will give you $100 for free when you deposit 100 and make any trade worth any amount of money. So that is really cool. All you've got to do is open your futures account and deposit that $100. By the way, when you open your futures account, you get the $50 here for free, just free money. Trade with it, do whatever the fuck you like with it. Any profits are yours to keep. Super, super cool. Also a no KYC exchange. So that is very, very useful for flexibility. Obviously, got to keep in mind, if you're in a country that's banned it, you can't use it. But if we do come along to the Bitcoin chart again to take a little bit of a look at where this could be going, we have made, like I said, really good use of support on the 4-hour time frame, and we are maintaining this positive kind of posture for the markets as well, which is absolutely great. Now, I think that if we do start to lose some of these areas, and we can probably draw an uptrend line that looks a little bit like this, if we do start to lose, let's call it 34.3, then for me, we're coming back down to the lows. And the lows are, there's a couple different ways you could look at it. 33.6 definitely could make sense. I think you could also say that the lows sit around here, 33.7. It's hard to say. I quite like it, a little bit lower, perhaps 33.4. I think this is, quite a fair level, especially, you can imagine we get a really quick move. I mean, it could definitely wick, like a super, super quick thing. Not necessarily saying that we kind of drop down and then hang around here and then back up. I don't necessarily think so. I think that if we are going to come back up, it's going to be quick, just like it was previously. Obviously, the quicker the moves, the stronger they are. So that's really important to keep in mind. When the market is strong, it moves quickly. So, if the market feels strong when it's down here, if buyers really want to step in when it's down here, then we're actually going to see a nice quick pump to the upside. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 4Flies dashboard as well. This has been something really useful over the last days and weeks to influence my trading decisions in particular. And what we do have now is still majority shorts on Binance retail right here, which is very interesting. Binance top traders remain majority long. This has been majority long since January of this year, or February. Whenever I entered my long position is when I remember seeing this at majority long, and Binance retail, just continuing to short the rally, standing in front of the train, thinking that they've got some fucking edge that everybody else doesn't. Fair enough, good for them, good for me, more importantly, because they are making me money, so that is fantastic. Bybit, obviously a mix of retail and top traders, are much closer to 50-50, but still a little bit majority short. So that's showing you that the retail traders generally are not super bullish with this, which is in direct conflict to the fear and greed index. With the fear and greed index is actually looking fairly high right now. If we take a look at the actual chart, we can get a closer look at this. But one thing that is very clear is that we are staying at these highs right now. Now, the good thing is that we're not punching above these highs, so that's good. And if Bitcoin is going to close its daily candle somewhere around over here, which is going to happen in quite some time, right? I mean, that's not close. Yeah, only about 4.5 hours, not far away. Then I think that we could see a little bit of a pullback with this fear and greed index. It's not too high that it's worrying for me, especially considering that we've just come out of 6-7 months of downtrend. It's like locking a dog up for 3-4 months and then just letting it out. This is even worse because it's longer, and at the same time not worse because it's not a dog. But yeah, I think that it's not surprising that we've got such a high kind of fear and greed rating, but I don't think it's going to be difficult to strike fear back into the market. I really don't. I mean, especially with a market kind of where it is right now. This is just at a time right now where, I mean, we could drop down to 30K. We could even, I mean, literally all it would take, just to be clear, is Bitcoin forming this kind of deviation, dropping below these kind of lows and then coming back up. That would be enough to scare the market, and anybody that was kind of a little bit late to the market is also going to get quite screwed on that. So that is definitely something that I think could be possible. Now, I want to draw your attention over to some longer term charts. This is actually really interesting. This one, first of all, before we get to this yearly chart, by the way, each of these candles represents 12 months of price action. We never ever look at these kind of charts, but you'll see why it's interesting in just a bit. This is the first thing I wanted to show you, which is that in our previous downtrends, before we actually entered the bull market, a lot of the time, or a few of the times, because there aren't that many data points, what we've seen is that there would be two downtrends. And when Bitcoin breaks both of them, that's when we go mega bull. So if we take a look at this from 2018 and 2020, we have, basically from 2018 up to 21, we had a nice big downtrend line here spanning from 20K down to 6 and then all the way down here to $4,000. And then we had this downtrend line from 14K up, down to 10 and then 9. And then we got that breakout. So we broke out of both of them. And obviously the second breakout was what resulted in the really nice price action for the market. Here's a look at 2014 all the way up to 2016. And we had a very, very similar occurrence of events. We had the nice big downtrend line. This was about 1200 down to, I don't even know the price levels here because I wasn't here, but I'm guessing about, I can't even read it. This is really confusing. 600 maybe, and whatever. It doesn't matter. But what you can see is that we did manage to break this downtrend line and then we formed another one. Now, not the most scientific forms of analysis. I don't even know what scientific means in this context, but you understand what I'm saying. Not the most technical way to analyze the market. I mean, this is so fucking open to interpretation, so subjective. So I don't really like it that much, but what I do like is, again, we look behind the curtains here. It's not about like what are you seeing on the actual chart with these two downtrend lines. That's not, if that's what you're focusing on, you're missing the point. And let me guide you back. What we are looking at here is simply the characteristic of Bitcoin to form very long-term downtrends and then break them. And more importantly, that it doesn't take breaking them once. It doesn't even take breaking them twice. We're going to have to do, the third major, this is the first big rally here. We've got the first big rally that leads up to the all-time high. We've got the second big rally, and then the third big rally is the one that actually works. So I think it's really important to keep this kind of thing in mind because, it really tells us a lot about, A, the resilience that Bitcoin needs, and B, just how long it could take. Like I said, it's not about the fact that there are these downtrend lines that, last a long time and then we manage to break out of them. It's the fact here that Bitcoin, suffers through. It makes me sound like I'm making a pitch for a movie plot character, but that Bitcoin suffers through so much adversity until it finally gets the breakout. And if we take a look at how this actually looks in the present day, we've got something somewhat similar. It's definitely not perfect, but you can kind of see where we're getting at. We've got this downtrend line over here, and depending on how you draw the second line, we've got another downtrend line that we've broken out of. This is definitely analysis that is reaching. It's not the kind of standard analysis I like to give you. But if we couple this with the next thing I want to show you and with all the other videos that I've been showing you on this YouTube channel, then we've actually got something really interesting here. And let me just bring up that chart again. What we've got is right here, we've got a chart that shows the nice yearly candles that go up, followed by the yearly candles that go down. And actually what we see two things. Number one, the first thing we see, which I think is actually quite obvious, is that we form these kind of, downtrend candles here. And there's only one of them, which is interesting in and of itself. This candle, for example, did have a big downtrend in it, but it still closed green from January to December. So there's only 1 year where you open and then close lower than you opened. And then the next 3 years were bullish. So, here, again, still a massive downtrend. I mean, this is the 2015 candle. 2015 was entirely a sideways market. So, we really need to put this in perspective. We're not talking about, just rocket ship back to the moon that quickly. I mean, it's a year of trading, so, and a lot happens in a year for Bitcoin. Even now when Bitcoin is moving comparatively slowly, Bitcoin's still very fast. So, 2015 was a bad year. This is a very misleading candle. In fact, it's so misleading that I actually want to show how bad 2015 was, just so that we can, again, set expectations, make sure that we understand what we're actually looking at here without kind of getting carried away. That's really, really important. A lot of people don't take the time to do this. A lot of YouTubers don't take the time to show this, and most of the time it's because they don't know that they should. It's not because of anything bad. The bad part is that they're stupid, but it's not necessarily that they're trying to mislead you in this particular case with analysis. But if we do look at 2015, which starts about over here and ends about over here, one thing that's very clear is that most of the year is spent doing this, and then it's only really, the last 4 or 5 months where we get a bit of an uptrend here. So, it's what is it? This is September that the uptrend really starts. I mean, it breaks out in October, so it's really only Q4. It's really only this. I didn't even draw this properly. Like, really what we're looking at is all of this is shit throughout 2015, and then these last few months are nice. And it paints this incredibly misleading picture that 2015 was a bullish year. It was, technically. But more importantly, what we have than just that is the beginning of the uptrend. The next candle is even better, and the next candle is even better than that. Now, on the following example, 2018, we get a nice big downtrend here, followed by 3 years of upside. So that's the first observation we can make, that maybe we're in year 1 of the uptrend. Maybe. The second one, and this is also really interesting, is that the year after the downtrend is always a shit year. 2015 was such a good example of this. We've just spent the last couple of minutes talking about how bad 2015 would have been to live in. And I'm so glad I wasn't a crypto trader back here, because I know I would have made tens, if not hundreds of Bitcoins just trading here, and I would have fucking sold them all too. I would be living with the deepest pits of regret. If I made a shitload of Bitcoin down here and then just got impatient. And I would have, because I was like 14 years old back in 2015. So, not the time for me, it's very, very clearly not a good year. The year after the downtrend, sure, it might be green. Even this one looks like it's going to be, it'd be hard to make this a red candle at this stage, right? I mean, this candle opened at such an abysmally low price level. Bitcoin would have to tank so far, so quickly. I don't really think that's going to happen. So it's a green candle, yes, but was it a nice green candle? Was it a happy one? Were we fucking deeply miserable during this candle? You know what I mean? I think yes to those questions. I mean, this was not a happy candle. This was a very miserable one. This was very depressing. Fucking 6-7 months of trading completely sideways between 25 and 30K is not a nice year as a trader. Yet the chart is very misleading. So again, the second key point we can actually extract from this is that the first yearly candle after our downtrend does not exceed the opening price of our downtrend. Now, that's a really, really important sentence. That means this candle and potentially this candle does not go higher than the starting price of our downtrends. Okay, so in this case, the downtrend started at 738. That was the price on the 1st of January. In this case, it was 14,300. Neither of these candles managed to exceed that price. Not even with a wick. This was back in 2019. Not even with a wick were we able to get above the beginning of the yearly downtrend candle here. Really, really interesting observation. For Bitcoin, that gives us a maximum possible price of $46,000. Now, are we going to stick to this just because 4Flies told you on a video posted on the 2nd of November? No, obviously not necessarily. That's not how these things work. But what's more important than that, and again, we look behind the curtains, we really try and understand what this market is actually showing to us. What's more important than all of that is simply the character traits here that are being exhibited. The character trait here that we're seeing displayed in this market is that we have one heavy year of downtrend, and the second year, no matter how nice it is, no matter how high you go, no matter what happens, the second year is not a good candle. The second year does not go up significantly higher, and most importantly, it doesn't exceed the previous year's candle. Really, really important note. We had a beautiful opportunity to do that back here in 2019. We wicked up super, super close, and we still couldn't exceed that price. I think it's a really realistic target. Bitcoin has been moving very quickly lately, so I think that perhaps A lot of the people in the market are starting to get a little bit carried away with themselves, but that's not necessarily realistic for the market. That's not necessarily how things actually play out. We're at the very beginning of November. I still think we could have a good November. I mean, 44, 40K, 41K is still very much on the cards. I've been saying that since we were down at $17,000, that I think, we could see a $40,000 Bitcoin. So, each of these things still very, very possible, but the idea of exceeding that 46K, price level within the next 2 months, first of all, if you're worried about that kind of thing, you're just not the guy that makes money, because you can't trade those kind of ideas. You can only trade what's in front of you right now, and that's why I like to focus on directly what's in front of me on my plate right now, instead of kind of looking up at the things that are still too far away to trade. I'm just trying to keep it real with you guys. Ultimately, everybody says that they come here to make money, and most people don't exhibit the character traits, don't have the behavior of somebody who actually wants to make money. You just kind of sit around doing intellectual debates with yourself and your friends about Bitcoin's price, and sure, that's fun, and I love them too, but I want to make money more than I want to have those conversations. So that's why we keep this channel very, very focused, and it's really important to look at these kind of things, because that can actually help us kind of frame expectations, and again, just kind of understand, like, look, there might be some decent profit-taking levels up ahead. I think that we're in a pretty decent profit-taking area already. You've already seen me take profits on my Bitcoin position live with you guys when I was close to 600% profit. I'm still close to 600% profit, by the way. I'm probably still above 600% profit, actually. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. This is something that I've obviously done with you guys live on this YouTube channel. Yeah, 617%. Take a look at this, ladies and gents. Absolutely beautiful trading right there. 670. Somebody said I could be pulling this up on screen properly, but I just forget to take screenshots of this shit before I go live on YouTube. Here's the other trade. That's the Tron. 282% profit. Absolutely beautiful. Very, very happy with those two positions. Obviously, those two trades were made on Bybit, where you're going to get up to $30,000 for free to trade with. You can do anything you like with that money, throw it back into the market, whatever the fuck you like, and if you make any money with it, any profits, they are yours to withdraw. All of that when you start trading using my link down below. CoinW also coming in clutch with another very cool offer, slightly different, where just by opening a futures account using my link, you're going to get a free $50 trading bonus. So again, you can deploy that in the market any way you like. Profits are yours to keep. But if you also deposit $100 and then make any trade at all, within 24 hours, you're going to get another 100 for free. So they'll effectively double your trading capital. They're not the biggest numbers, but you're getting a free $100. What you do with that is up to you. It's a no-brainer. I mean, if I put a $100 note in front of you on the ground, would you take it? You know what I mean? So, similar situation here, well worth checking out. Also, no KYC, along with BingX, that allows you to trade traditional finance. Obviously, traditional finance has been popping off, ladies and gents. I mean, have I covered that in the wrap-up with you guys? In my notes today? No, I didn't. But if we do take a look at my notes, what we have, oh yeah, I posted it in VIP. I was like, yeah, I did write this down somewhere. It's in VIP, not in my video notes today. But if we do take a look at the S&P 500, I mean, just gapping up, beautiful. And this is exactly what I told you would happen, by the way, yesterday. I said that there's no resistance between this green box and this yellow line, so I'd expect the S&P 500 to move up very quickly. I told you guys very, very clearly that, we moved down quickly for the same reason that I expect we're going to move up quickly, which is that there was no support on the way down, so there's no resistance on the way up, and very, very, very beautifully we are seeing that come into fruition here, which is absolutely spectacular. The dollar also seeing a little bit of a pullback, perhaps in response to that, perhaps in conjunction with that. So this is something I'm going to continue to monitor. If we start getting some nice big bullish breakouts on the S&P 500, especially if we get above this yellow line, I think the S&P 500 is going to be in a really, really good position to rally on much, much further and break that all-time high up at 4,800. And obviously that would have some really positive implications for Bitcoin as well. So keep it locked right here, ladies and gents, if you want to get your insights on this crypto market. I'm going to be heading off now. I really hope you have enjoyed this one. You know exactly what to do. If you have, smash up those likes, subscribe, tick the bell, do all that beautiful stuff. And I'll see you all in the next one. Make sure you check out these offers in the description down below. And again, please keep in mind that if you're in a restricted country, you can't use any of these, unfortunately. All right, I'll see you all in the next one.